Good evening, Mr. Toman. We're just going to wait until the parks chair and the rest of the committee comes in, okay? All right.
I'm going to reload my drink and I'll be right back.
Okay.
No problem.
I see the room is starting to fill up here. That's great.
Yes, it is, but we are still waiting for the parks chair to sign in.
Hi,
The
Eric.
meeting.
You hear me, Eric? Hi.
Yes, we can hear you, Gloria.
All right, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Greetings, Gloria.
Just a minute. Okay.
Push the camera, you can
Yeah,
see.
I got the camera.
If you push the camera,
I did do that before. Oh, but the G is so, I don't, I'm sorry. I just, I do my face be there.
read that. It says start my video. Start your video.
Hi, okay, I'm good. Okay. Get off my paper. Get off my paper. That's my doggy I'm talking to. You want to say hi? Say hi. Okay, go back, go back.
Nice. I usually work on Zoom, but this WebEx is a very fine application here. This is what Community Board 9 uses.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Oh,
no chat. There's no chat.
Okay, no chat.
Oh, there won't be any chat, and we'll be using WebEx for a couple of our meetings and our executive and general board meeting moving forward until further notice.
okay.
Right. So the community can't discuss anything except for on this forum in front of you.
I'd like a response.
As opposed to if we were in a public space, we could
The
talk.
community, the
Quiet.
community can discuss with one another at any point in time. We don't control anybody's lives. This is just a forum for the Parks Committee meeting where an agenda is decided upon and the committee members and public residents can join in and participate in those conversations. If you want to have a discussion with Mr. Toman at another time, you can ask for his contact information and send him an inquiry at your own leisure. But this is the Parks and Culture and Recreation Committee's time, and that's what will be happening during this time, okay?
Who is that speaking?
This is Khalid Nixon. I'm community assistant for Brooklyn Community Board 9. I don't have my camera on just yet. I'm not currently decent at the time, but give me 1 second, okay?
All right, thank you, Khalid.
You got it.
And I don't like this format because in a public meeting, you should be able to see who is present. You should be able to know how many people are present and who the people are that are present. If it's open and public, we would see that. If we were in a room together, we would see that. So I am not thrilled about this, and I wasn't thrilled about when the chat was taken out of the Zoom format either. Okay. Hi, Nancy.
Yeah.
You're muted.
You muted the mic. The,
Wait. Says stop video.
Are we waiting for Nicholas?
Absolutely.
just the mic.
Yes, we are waiting for him. I'm gonna try to get in contact with him because he
Thank you so
confirmed.
much.
I confirmed with him that the meeting is definitely on for tonight.
Right, because we were on again and off again. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And the agenda still said Zoom.
This is Julia. How can I help
And
you?
okay,
Yeah. So while a note went out, an email went out saying it's WebEx virtual, but the agenda that was attached still says wasn't corrected, wasn't updated. So somebody might be looking at the agenda or an old email and trying to get into the meeting based on the first 1 or 2 emails that went out.
Hi, everybody. I think I unmuted.
Yes.
Big triumph.
Hi.
May not either.
I just double checked. The agenda definitely says WebEx. So I don't know where you were seeing Zoom from. That was maybe an original email when
Me so.
the meeting was set up on our Zoom platform,
Me
we had
so.
to send out an amended agenda, and we sent out an amended one Wednesday at 11:23 p.m.
Is my name on
I-
there? Never mind. Don't look.
Wednesday.
I don't care. I looked at the one that had the Zoom on it.
That
So-
was an outdated one. Yeah, we sent out an amended one just earlier this week, and we sent out additional notices and a calendar invite to
You
try
guys
to get
were
that
very busy,
across.
and so was I. You were very busy getting all of that corrected and whatever, and so was I. So
It might be hard for,
Is there a vice president that we could go? The reason is that I have to leave at 8, and I'm the secretary. So,
where's Mayna? Mina,
Mina,
isn't that her?
Mina,
function?
it's
Yeah,
Mina.
Isn't that her function? But she's not here either. I don't think. I see 12 persons.
I looked on the list and I don't see her here. You can see, Brenda, you can see who's here because the
Yes, I see it.
participant list.
I see the participants list.
Okay, so she's not here.
But as you said, I can't have a conversation with someone else. And we should be able to do that if we're in an open public forum. We would be able to sit side by side and have conversations regards to what's going on at the meeting, regards to topics.
Mr. Gon, you're free to chat with anybody here in this forum if they're interested, of course, in having a discussion. And you know the current circumstances right now where we cannot sit together in close quarters and have a discussion. You do know that these are the circumstances that we're working under, right?
I know
But
that.
Khalil, other boards
Make this
do Zoom
more
and have
accessible.
chats. So
Yeah.
Community Board 9 is the outlier. You're
Right.
the outlier. So other people can figure out how to do it. When you,
I
it's like we're on
understand.
punishment. We're on
I
punishment.
understand.
We're on punishment. I'm just stating a fact that we're on punishment. And when you keep saying, and Khalil, I know it's not you. So please, I just, it is when someone makes a decision and tells us that it has to do with COVID and other people can do something else. And I want to speak out and say when they're predominantly white communities that they can figure out how to do it. But when it's a black community, somehow that we got to be on lockdown. I just want to state that that's what that's my observation. It's just an observation. It's an observation and it's clear that I'm not loving it. Thank you.
I understand, ma'am. I'm not going to go into a racial component for the argument. It's only on the administrative side. We've had to deal with a lot of inappropriate comments in the chat. People have taken advantage of it and just used it inappropriately. Yes, there were people who would want to share valuable information with other residents, but most of the time it was something inappropriate, and we're just not going to facilitate that. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. You're not sorry. Just say you're done. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak over you. I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize to you.
It's okay. I
Mina,
will always update the
Mina-
office and let them know of the community's sentiments towards how we run functions. So it's, we're here to listen. I'm just trying to get in contact with Nicholas. I'm having a difficult time, so please, stand by for you. Feel free to chat amongst each other.
Well, I
trying
was just going to say
contact with-
maybe Mina can run the meeting and then Nicholas can take over. Mina is the vice president.
And are you available? Have you been able to get in contact with Nicholas by any chance? Okay.
Looking at the reactions on WebEx, they've got a rabbit, fire, celebrate, speed up. Oh, that's the rabbit. And the turtle means slow down. Wow. Smile,
Brenda, you have speakers here, right? You have guests, right?
You all have guests.
No, I mean that you arranged for guests.
I'm
Yes, the committee has 2 guest speakers for tonight, yes. And I believe they are both present, but our chair isn't, and I'm trying to find our contact list to get in touch with him. I'm operating from our laptop, and I don't have everything immediately, so.
Okay.
it'll take-
I'm going to try calling them as well.
I don't think I've ever used WebEx before. So I had to download it a little while ago.
Yeah, I did too.
So I'm thinking, I don't even know my password to download things. I had to guess 1,000 times. What did I use? What did I use? I'm so sick of all the different passwords and having to update passwords every couple of months. Make them more stronger. You know, I'm like, they're too strong for me. I don't remember any of them.
I hear that. I'm gonna run out and get some water. It's just about 50 feet away. I'll be right back.
Okay, Eric, thank you.
I have a question about WebEx while we're waiting. So
I talked to Nicholas and he said that he's having difficulty getting onto the WebEx.
Did he download the app? Like me. I was like, well, can I just click on it and it'll pop up? My daughter said, I don't think so. Okay.
Oh, that's what you were saying, that you have to download it first.
Welcome to my world, okay? Well,
Okay, let me give him that heads up. Let me see.
You
right.
can go to the WebEx website and type in the meeting code without downloading the app.
Really?
That's
But you
what I
have to
did.
type it in? Can you cut and paste it in and then do that?
I think so.
Because typing is a lot of letters and you might make mistakes.
I think you can copy and paste it.
Who am I speaking to?
This is Morgan.
Morgan, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Good, good.
I'm just
Tell
a
us how we're the
community
ones
member.
who's-
I don't have a title.
I don't have a title either. We don't need titles here. We're all members of the community or have a vested interest in the community. That's all it takes.
Sounds good. Well, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hi, Gail.
Okay, can we get started?
Who's running the meeting, Julia? You? You're the next in line. So we
Nicholas,
just-
you
I'm-
might be muted. Nicholas, you're muted.
yeah, he's muted. Nicholas is here. I'll mute myself now.
How about now?
Nicholas, we can hear you now. Can I do the roll call? And Nicholas, I have to leave at exactly at 8 o'clock, so I'd
Sounds
like to
good.
get this.
We'll try not to keep you that long.
Okay, can I do the roll call and then,
Well, just give me a chance to get stuff together. It took a few minutes to
Okay.
get. Give me about a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. I just want to make sure my agenda is up so I could follow it up, and then we could proceed. Okay?
go for it. Go for it.
Everybody's been waiting. We're all here. Why you can't do roll call?
All right. Okay. So why don't we call this meeting to order? It's right now 17. Sorry to the delay for folks. Changes are always welcome. It does come a little bit of struggle, but we have to use changes because that's the only thing that's eternal. So why don't we proceed with Julia, our secretary, with our roll call? Go ahead, Julia.
Okay, Amy Pinkerton, Mina Legute,
Legute.
I see her here. Nicholas, okay. Richard Lubell?
Here.
Richard, yes. I'm here. David Romeo? Brenda Pagon? Annalise Binder? No. Fred Baptiste, he's a board member. Pamela
Yeah,
Amakuchi?
usually it's not there.
She here? She's usually not here? Okay. Eric Thomas? No. Okay, and then,
If that was Eric Toman, I am here.
Oh, Thomas.
this is Eric
Oh, that's
Thomas.
Thomas.
Okay,
Tom, that's
All
a,
right.
that's a committee member.
yeah, okay, I got that.
Okay, then I have agency reps, but those are just people who are agency reps. They
Yeah,
don't have
the
to-
roll call is mostly for committee members.
Yes, I have community members. Are there any agency reps who would like to be represented so that I can put you on the list? No.
Now,
Okay, cool. Okay, so that was the role. You don't have enough people to take a vote.
how many do we have here as committee members present today?
You have, hold on, I'm not, I have to look at the right one. I'm sorry, give me a minute. I thought I was looking at, there it is. Okay, so the board members you would need, you only have yourself and Mina.
Mina is here, right? Mina is here, right?
Mina is here. She's not being responsive. She's got her screen on though.
Oh,
So,
she have a camera.
okay, for committee quorum is the majority of the 11 voting members. So 6 members will be needed present for the committee to conduct business with a quorum.
I mean, we could still have the meeting. We won't have any voting items today.
Okay,
don't have
that's
a
fine.
quorum. That's all it
Okay.
means, basically. All right.
Okay, so
So,
I'm done.
so the next step of the agenda is the review of the minutes.
Okay, the review of the minutes,
Can you share, you have a copy, you are,
I have
you
the,
have
I have the,
you have a copy of the minutes. Khalid, is there any way she could share a screen so people could take, so we could take a quick look at it to see if we could make addition, deletion, and corrections?
are you saying yes? Khalil, I can't hear you.
Right.
Sorry, I was muted. My bad. I was muted. Nicholas, you are co-host. You have the ability to share the screen if that's what you are asking.
Oh, okay. Right. So let me see. Not for Julia.
But
I
the
can share.
minute,
Who? For
but the
Julia?
point is, yeah, the
Mm.
minutes have been sent to everyone. Everyone, no, I'm sorry. Let me
Yeah, the
take that
minute
back.
was sent to everyone and to also
No, the
post
minutes
on the
were
website.
sent to Nicholas and to Mina and to
Mm.
Khalil as a draft. So
Okay.
now what we have is, can I share? I can't share.
And
So I mean, you know, like we could go old school. We could go old
Yeah.
school and
we could come back.
can
to
you
that.
see it now? Can you see it now?
Yeah. Mhm. Now, I'm gonna make a change to the agenda since we have guests and they need the time to present. We could always go back and approve the minutes later, especially since we do not have a quorum. So at this point, I just would like to move on to presentation and to our guest. And we basically have 3 guests today. We have Mr. Eric Foreman from Parks Department. And would you like to start with your presentation, and then we'll do, I know I'm not doing it in the order of the agenda, but can you proceed, Mr. Thorman? Go ahead.
Yes, I can. And for everyone here, many people mispronounce it. The name is Eric Toman. And
Toman?
It's a funny spelling, I guess, because it's Swiss, I suppose, but it's Toman, rhymes with Roman or snowman, but Toman will work for me, or you can just call me Eric. Yes, I would, I could start, and if you would please, if you could share the screen, and I can begin the presentation.
You have screen sharing capabilities, Mr. Toman.
Okay, thank you very much. My screen share seems to be muted at this point.
There is an option on the bottom, says share content. Try Control-Shift-D
Yeah.
if possible.
I'm on share content.
Okay.
Okay. Control Shift.
D. Control-Shift-D. At least that's Emmanuel.
Control Shift D. Okay.
Trying to
No,
see.
my share screen button, which is on the bottom middle, is still muted at this point.
Still muted. Okay.
I'll try one more. I'll
Yeah.
try one more time. Control
Let me just
Shift
see if I
D.
can change your role to maybe if I can make you presenter. Give me 1 second. Try now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are. Share.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Great. Awesome.
Beautiful.
Sharing screen now.
Yes, your screen is being shared.
All right. But I can't see it.
I think we can see your
You can
desktop.
see what you're doing. You're hovering over your desktop and you're about to click the presentation final. We can see what you're doing though.
Okay. So I'm trying to open up the our PowerPoint. I'm sharing my screen. I see that. Okay. This went very well this afternoon. Bear with me. Okay, let me hit share one more time. Okay, share.
Your screen is being shared now. I don't know if you're not able to see your own screen.
We already see we see your desktop or like your home web page, but we not web
Right.
sorry, your home desktop, but you're about to click it. Right click that and oh, there we go.
There we go. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Are you able to see that? Okay, hold it 1 second. Okay, here we are. All right, so let me get into presentation mode. There we are. Okay, here we are finally. Thank you very much for your patience. And I want to thank all the members of Community Board 9 for this opportunity to come here and explain a little bit about Green Thumb and what Green Thumb is and does and how we can work together.
Is there any way to move that blue bar banner from your screen? Is that on your screen?
A blue banner?
Yeah, it says resize to change the video size or number of videos. Got it.
I'm seeing a full screen on mine.
Okay, I got it. I had to click it on my screen.
It's you.
That might be your screen, but we all see Eric Toman.
Yeah, Eric Toman, yes.
Go ahead.
My apologies. I'm sorry, Toman. My apologies.
Yeah. It rhymes with Roman, but anyway, let's move on. So here we are. This is one of the 3 community gardens in Community Board 9. And as many of you already know, Green Thumb is a community garden program for New York City Parks Department. And our mission is to support and educate community gardens and community gardeners and urban farmers across all 5 boroughs while preserving open space. And on this map right here, what you see today is the existing community gardens. There's well over 20,000 volunteer gardeners that are New York City citizens that care for over 550 community gardens. And combined acreage there is well over 100 acres of publicly accessible open space. These are important words, publicly accessible open space. Now, what Green Thumb does is it supports these 550 gardens through the provisions of bringing in garden material, supplies, through workshops. These workshops are gardening, horticulture, beekeeping, canning, and also trainings in pruning, events and programs, as well as technical assistance. So these are some of the things that Green Thumb does to support its 550 gardens. Now these are also, in the last two seasons, that's 2020 to 2021, Green Thumb has supported these gardens in Community Board 9 with specialty items like garden supplies and plant materials. In addition, Green Thumb is addressing the rat problem in a new partnership with Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to treat sites, and this usually happens on the weekends. We also have forestry that is working with us. Okay, the support team, although it's small, is this team is working to help all 550 gardens in all 5 boroughs. So we're a busy bunch and an incredible group of people to work with. Inside of this group, we have a select group of outreach coordinators, and this is the Green Thumb Community Engagement Team, and they assist to connect gardeners with available resources. So our outreach coordinators are assigned to specific geographic locations. I myself, Eric Toman, am assigned to, I have the privilege of being assigned to Community Board 9, and as well as a few other community gardens there. I have about 34 Department of Parks and Recreation parks and 45 community gardens total. Let's go specifically to Community Board 9. So inside of Community Board 9 are 3 community gardens. That'd be Lincoln Road. You can see them in the red circles over here. So Community Board 9 has the privilege and benefit of having Lincoln Road, Maple Street, and Union Street Garden. Inside this also, Community Board 9 has 14 New York City parks and playgrounds and 4 green streets. Now let's take a look at some of the individual, these 3 individual gardens. So we have the Maple Street Garden to begin with. This is a unique blend of a passive park and a recreation area on one side with a working, functioning community garden on the other side. This community garden has over 20 planting beds, 6-bin composting system, which takes care of our neighborhood food waste. Forestry has been in here trimming a willow tree. And in the recent year, we have come through with Department of Transportation to install a new sidewalk. Green Thumb has brought its resources in for fencing. And as I mentioned before, forestry came in with an ailanthus removal inside there. Some of the events that they do there is open garden day, art events, plant swaps, and a potato reveal, which is really amazing. They're now at this point putting together a grant. It's a Kickstart grant from Concerned Citizens of New York City, and this grant is part of the programming. And I'm in a timer over here, and it's the lights go back on again. So I'll just power right on through that. In our passive park, we have a question out here for what possibly maintenance and operations of Parks Department can help out, bringing in maintenance work for the passive park while our gardeners are actually carrying on the community garden side. There's also a question about return of forestry to take care of some untended business on the willow tree and a curb cut from Department of Transportation. The second of the three community gardens here is Lincoln Road Garden. It's third year into its restart. There was a lot of forestry work. I want to thanks again the Parks Forestry Department for this. We've gone through in a visioning program and through Green Thumb support, put in 24 garden beds. Recently, there was a film event from Columbia University students. They put together a project, and their asks at this point are to get the hydrant, which is across the street, open again. We're having a little bit of difficulty there, and we might need Community Board 9 to help us out on that. And they've also asked for on-site water to alleviate that. They're putting together a series of water barrels, and there's a neighborhood construction permit that's pending. We'll keep an eye on that. So this is what the finished product looks like from a rebuild on this garden. Finished off with wood chips, and again, 24 new beds. There's a shed that was together and supplied by Green Thumb, and the gardeners have put together this really wonderful signage system on their side. So that is some of the things that's going on there. And now I'm going to switch to our third of our three gardens, Union Street Garden. Volunteers began actually a pathway over on one side from Eastern Parkway, heading toward the middle side of the garden, and we unfortunately had to stop that, and we've had a 2-year delay on activities, community garden activities, as well as any sort of pavement work in there, because the limbs from 2 dead trees kept on falling on down. So we had to basically caution tape that on off, and we had to go on hold. Now, luckily, Parks Forestry came on in, and they removed these 2 5-story, these are not little trees, they're 5-story tall trees in here. So Parks has finished removing these trees, and we can now start the new, start what we had begun over here with finishing the pathway. And we do have Scout Troop 213, and they're here on an Eagle Scout project to help finish off this pathway. And we're looking for donations for that and pavers of up to 240 square feet to finish that. We also, unfortunately, because of the neighbor that is next to our garden, has stacked his trash right by the fence line, and then his rats decided to burrow on into a beautiful garden here. So we have that little issue going on. Department of Health and Mental Hygiene has been contacted. They have a rat abatement program, and they're working on that. So that's where we are with Union Street Garden. We're looking forward to the completion this possibly March for that walkway. It's an ADA accessible walkway. So anyway, I want to say thank you very much for the time and for sharing this time here. And this has been really, I'm quite pleased to have a time to take the time with Community Board 9 with this. So
Thank you, Mr.
go ahead.
You finished, Mr. Thorman? You could conclude
Yes.
now.
So yes, it is. Yeah, I'll close this down.
You could close this
Thank you very
down, but not quite yet. I wanted to know if anybody has any question.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 5 minutes question and answer period. If you do, you could go ahead and indicate it by raising your hand. We can see you in the video, and go ahead and talk. Because I'm looking if there is a function in here. I didn't find it yet. Okay. Are there any questions
Yes.
or comments?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, he's still talking as if no one is raising their hand. A couple of questions which I emailed out today. Just for the benefit of those of us who are new to parks and Green Thumb and all of this lovely stuff. What is, the difference between a green space, or you said there are 6 or something green streets?
Or green streets.
And what is a green street, and how, so how is it same or different than a park or a community garden?
Yes, I did catch your email, Ms. Pagan. A green street is basically, it's a landscaped traffic triangle. And that's where often 3 roads come together and create a triangle. And that is, you might have seen, there are 4 of them inside of Community Board 4. But so that is one of the types of spaces here. I liked your question from your email when you asked, what is the difference between a community garden, a park, and a green space? There are definitely differences between these, among these 3. A community garden and a park are both owned by the Parks Department. It's both open green land owned by Parks Department. Community garden is stewarded by volunteers that maintain, upkeep, and the horticultural needs and the personal needs of those particular garden members. That's a community garden. A park is maintained by paid parks volunteers, by paid parks employees and volunteers for that park. And then a green space could be owned by almost any city agency or private citizen. And examples of that, MTA has green spaces. Parks has green spaces. For example, the middle of Central Park is a large green space. DOT is one. And then there are, there's agencies like New York Restoration Project has many, many green spaces. So these are nonprofits that also run green spaces. So those are the three different categories. But my focus and what I'd like to let you know is that my focus is inside of community gardens. And these are, again, owned by your Parks Department, but maintained by your volunteers and stewarded. So you also asked, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it gave me a lot more information than I had before. I appreciate that.
Okay. I like your second question too, which was, how are these places generally funded? That's a very good question. Is it by agency, donations, grants, or funding? Well, and I'm speaking specifically about Green Thumb spaces. Green Thumbs are funded by several different venues. One is the federal government. It's called the CDBG, or Community Development Block Grant. This is money that comes straight from Washington and helps fund community gardens. There's another source of income that comes from City Council. That would be the participatory budget funding that comes on in. Community Board 9 has City Council 35 and City Council 40. So each City Council member has a specified funding to give in participatory budgeting directly to community gardens. There's also running, some of our funding comes from the Parks Department itself, but also that's the government agencies. Now, private donations, there are many streams here. There's also private donations that can come on in and donate directly to a community garden. There are grants that can come on in. For example, the Citizens Committee of New York City is a grant. The Partnership for Parks is a grant. I believe that Lincoln Road right now, with Nancy Hawk, who is here today, is writing a grant for the Maple Street Garden. So we wish her all the best. And when Citizens Committee, if they do ask, please support your Maple Street Community Garden in this grant to get this in here. Fundraising is yet another. I'll make this very quick. Fundraising is another way that gardens can raise money. In our license agreements, each garden can raise 2 fundraising events a year. So there are many ways that they can run fundraising, and there are many very creative ways, but the money raised there goes directly to the running and the maintenance and the upkeep and programming of each individual garden. So that is a long answer to a short question. Where's the money come from?
So donations, if someone or some organization would like to donate money to one or all of these gardens, they go directly to the garden, or do they have to go through Parks and Green Thumb in order to give them the money?
Donations can go directly to the garden.
Okay, fantastic. Great.
Hi. Are there any more questions?
Who's responsible for maintaining these spaces? And
That's yeah.
The garden, we know that volunteers are working in gardens, but you know, some places have parks right next to them, like Maple Street. And you said volunteers and Parks Department people, but when do they come in to the park area? So in general, it's parks workers and parks volunteers, but I rarely ever see parks workers in these smaller parks around the community.
Yes.
Is there a schedule?
Well, what's going on? on Maple Street is a very unique hybrid situation
Yes.
where the garden itself, the community garden itself, looking at the front of the gate, which is the 3/4 of the space on the right-hand side, is maintained by volunteers. They are stewarding this land and under a parks license. And these are all volunteer laborers. And the passive park ostensibly should be maintenance and operations
And
parks workers taking care of that. This is a brand new development inside of like this particular year. So I don't know if there's actually been a schedule that has evolved at this point. There is, we have had a volunteer, we've had a volunteer suggestion for work from our community gardeners to help with the landscape and maintenance of what is the parks area. That's the passive park. We are still, I'd say, in a formative stage as to figuring out what the parks responsibility is in the parks in the parks section of that. And this is mostly something that would be taken up by the PRM, the Parks and Recreation Manager, or the PS2 that's involved in the day-to-day maintenance of parks in there. I don't want to step on that person's shoes. So, but I can tell you who is responsible on the community garden side is that the community gardeners are responsible for that.
Because of, in the interest of time, we want to thank you, Mr. Tolman.
Tolman, yes.
If anybody has additional question, you could send them to the board office and we'll follow up with Mr. Tolman regarding that.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And, we have two other presentation. I just want to make sure we could get through that. So once again, thank you very much. I have many more questions, but I will ask them later. Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm going to mute myself now. Take care.
Okay. And the last thing is, we probably will call back on you again to see if we need more information at a later time. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. At this time, I'm looking for the representative of the Brooklyn Community Pride Center. Is the representative from the Brooklyn Community Pride Center in the meeting?
I'm with Brooklyn Yas, and the person from Brooklyn Community Pride couldn't be here, so I was going to talk about Brooklyn Yas and a little bit about Brooklyn Community Pride.
Well, then you have the floor because you are going to be next.
Okay.
Okay, can I just interrupt and say I'm leaving in a couple of minutes, so can someone continue to take the minutes from here? And I don't want to interrupt when I leave.
Oh,
So,
I got
the
you.
president.
And
Okay.
you have the committee members that would be willing to help out with the note-taking, please?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Mine, we'll coordinate afterwards, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for all your good work.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to sign off now. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate your time.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye. Thank you. All right.
Okay, am I on?
Yes, Ms. Koffler.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving me the time to present at your meeting. My name is Lisa Koffler. I am going to talk about the Brooklyn YAS Coalition. That stands for Youth Against Substance Misuse. I actually work for CAMBA. Many of you may have heard of CAMBA, a large community-based organization here in Brooklyn. CAMBA, along with the Brooklyn Community Pride Center, are the lead agencies for the Brooklyn YAS Coalition. Unfortunately, Yako, who's the director of programs with Brooklyn Community Pride, couldn't be here tonight but they have moved into Crown Heights. They're at the Bedford Union Armory now. So I did want to let you know about that. They have a beautiful space there. So the Brooklyn Yes Coalition is an organization of an organization of community-based organizations, government agencies, individuals, youth that are aimed to mobilize the community to undertake environmental strategies to prevent substance misuse in LGBTQ youth. That's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer or questioning youth. And the reason that we are focusing on this population is that LGBTQ youth are subject to stigma that really results in poor health outcomes for them. And I'm just going to give you some statistics right now. Gay, lesbian, and bisexual youth in Brooklyn are more likely to experience violence, drink alcohol, and use marijuana compared to their heterosexual peers. 77% of LGBTQ youth nationwide report receiving unwanted sexual comments, jokes, and gestures. 73% of LGBTQ youth nationwide have experienced verbal threats because of their actual or perceived LGBTQ identity. So basically, community rejection and lack of affirming safe spaces leads LGBTQ youth to devalue themselves, to feel isolated and alone. But if they have community and family acceptance, that promotes mental and physical health and prevents substance misuse. So really our goal is to create safer spaces in the community, to create a greater sense of community attachment and greater sense of physical and psychological safety. And we're focusing on the areas of Community Board 9 and Community Board 17. Basically Crown Heights, Prospect Lefferts, Flatbush, and East Flatbush. We have a lot of different activities we've undertaken. We've run a social marketing campaign on LGBTQ youth visibility, which you may have seen on bus shelters around town. We have other activities, safe zone activities that we've done, asking businesses in Crown Heights and some other neighborhoods to put safe zone stickers in their windows, showing themselves to be safe spaces for LGBTQ youth, and we educate them about what it means to be a safe space, and let them know about the existence of the Brooklyn Community Pride Center in the neighborhood as well. And one of the things I wanted to talk to you about tonight, which I think relates to the work that you do, is that we're going to be having an art contest for LGBTQ youth. So we're asking LGBTQ youth from the ages of 13 to 26 to submit art to us. And we are going to have a panel of judges, artists, who are going to pick winners. The winner's going to win $200 and two runners-up will win $100. The winner will also win an art mentorship by an established artist. And this person will be able to work with them to really explore with them how they can express the art that they want to express, where they can go with it, helping them to learn about different mediums. If they're interested in learning more about getting into the art world and how they promote their art, they can work with them on that. We are going to be also having an art exhibit at the Brooklyn Community Pride Center to show the winners and the people who submitted. And at that time, people will be able to sell their art. We're going to have it up for sale. We're also going to be showing the art online at a gallery. It's the Open Source Gallery, which is in Park Slope. They have a branch in Park Slope and Gowanus. So we really want to push this out there because we think it's be a great activity for young people, and also a great way for the community to come together to support the artists at the center. So, and we'd love to invite you to join the coalition as well. If people are interested in the kind of work that we're doing, we really want to invite community members to be a part of the coalition. We meet on a monthly basis via Zoom, and we welcome all kinds of ideas that community members can bring to the coalition. Any questions? Yes.
I may have missed this in your presentation, but what's the timeline? When are the art pieces going to be done?
Yes, okay, I did not mention that. So we're asking for submissions to be given to us by the 1st of March. We think we're going to have the exhibit around the 3rd week of March. So we may actually extend the submission period a little bit more. But yeah.
Because one of my thoughts about that, I'm here actually representing the Maple Street Community Garden, but I was just thinking that I don't know if they would be into an open air exhibition, but they could come, like maybe there could be an exhibition at the garden one Saturday afternoon, if it's, good weather and everything, where they could come in and set up and we could invite, community members to just come in and talk with them and see their work. So it's something we could work out, if it's not, I guess if they're done in March, it's a little too cold to really, and not so pleasing in the garden at that point. There's going to be a lot of bare ground, but maybe a little bit later in the, later towards June or early July, something like that.
Yeah, we do actually want to do a day of action where we just, are able to engage with community members around the different issues of creating safe spaces for LGBTQ youth. And we're trying to figure out a place to maybe do this in an open space where we can engage with members. So maybe, something like that we could explore, and then, bring the winning artist in and be able to show that work as well, sort of combining it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds like we should stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Nancy Hawk, right?
Right.
Great, thank you.
Can I have a follow-up question, a follow-up comment and question on this? Next month, we're gonna have PLG Arts and possibly the Dorsey Gallery presenting. And one of the things in my conversation with them is to do public art display at the various park in the neighborhood. And I think that idea from Nancy is right on point with that. The question I have, do you have any music component to some of the activity for YAS?
A musical component. At this point, we don't. This art contest, we're asking for photography, drawing, painting, collage, or digital art. But, we are we've been around for about 2.5 years, but we're always trying to think of ways to engage the community and to engage youth. So, that's something we could explore. It sounds like it would be really great. So if you have thoughts, I'd love to hear them or maybe talk to you at a later time about that.
Yes, let's talk about it much later. I'm into music and like to be a musician out.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Okay, the gentleman down in the corner. I'm sorry, I don't see your name.
Me?
No, somebody else had their hand raised?
Anybody else?
No? Oh, I thought I saw a raised hand. Okay, that was my bad.
Okay. Are there any more questions for Ms. Koffler? Okay. We want to thank you for coming in, and we're looking forward to collaborating and supporting each other. And so thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you. I think somebody's.
Ms. Pagan has her hand up, please. Go ahead. You're muted.
Okay. I don't know where Khalid may be here, but if we could share contact information, I don't know how. Khalid, Nicholas, how? So Nancy's information, Ms. Lisa Koffler's information could be shared so that they can connect with one another, because there's no chat or anywhere to drop it on this WebEx, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's there.
Let me
see the chat. May I suggest, would you dare share the information and send an email to the community board and for the contact information, and then we could get it to that.
Okay, great. I've been in touch with Dante, so definitely. Yes. Well, thank you so much. It's been great. Lovely to talk to you. Take care. I'm going to sign off.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. At this point, the next item on the agenda is public commentary. Are there any public commentary? Anyone have something they want to bring up or say?
How long are we using WebEx?
From my understanding is
Lead is still on.
the Zoom license will not be renewed.
Did they just?
And I have a feeling as soon as the governor remove the virtual meeting mandate, we're going to go back to in-person meeting.
Which
We
no
could say we're going to be in WebEx until we resume in-person meeting. Well, since she announced today the max mandate is off and so on and so forth, if the pandemic continue become an endemic soon, then we'll be back to in-person meeting. So we won't be doing those virtual meetings.
that doesn't answer
Okay.
the question. Yeah.
So my sense is from the email I got is that the executive committee or the district manager and the Mr. Baptiste said it's not an incredibly wise thing to go and renew Zoom for another year.
Year. It's a year contract.
It's a year contract. It's not by month. So they decided let's do WebEx until we resume.
Okay, so how can we address this issue if we may have this WebEx for the next 3 or 4 months, which is the rest of the year essentially? So how do we communicate on WebEx? Is there some?
This would be a better question to the general or the executive committee meeting because I cannot really answer that at that point. But I'm just conjecturing.
Khalid is still on the line. Khalid is still present. So that's
Yeah,
the question.
it's the question. I don't know. We don't have Dante. We don't have Fred. We don't have the first and the second vice president.
Ms. Pagan, what's your inquiry?
About WebEx, because like we just wanted to drop something. No chat in Zoom, but this is WebEx. What else does WebEx have? How can we share? And if we're going to have WebEx, we don't know for how long. 3 months, 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, whatever. Maybe we'll be on WebEx again in September for all we know. But is this it in terms of the platform? There's no way to, have, I want to say chat, but I know you all.
Well, yes, I've already explained why we're not having chat, and that, as I said, that's an administrative decision. You can,
Khalid,
or the ability. Yes, go ahead.
How
Continue.
we can connect effectively with one another during the meetings. How can we share information? Just like the 2 young ladies want to share information. There's no chat to drop it in. So now we're going to, okay, well, you send an email to the office and then the office will pick up your email and then the office will send the emails out to each of you to connect you. You understand what I'm saying? I think you maybe missed that. Lisa and Nancy trying to connect with each other.
Right. Well, we'll just be confirming with them tomorrow and relay that information to them.
I'll send emails. Thank you.
Of course.
Okay. So no more public affairs. This serves as our public commentary. Let's move on to our next agenda item. Parks and Cultural Institution Liaison. Any reports? Rich, anything you want to say to us? Ongoing. You are on mute.
Okay, good. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you got through to the PLG people.
Yes, yes. We had a couple of email back and forth on a phone conversation.
Very good.
Right.
Thank you for doing that. So they're on for next month.
Next month, yes.
But I enjoyed the presentations today too. The Eric from the parks and the other woman. Anyway, as far as the museum goes, I'm going to go tomorrow. They have a rehanging of their European collection, which I'm looking forward to seeing. It's, it tends to be traditional art, but Brooklyn Museum always puts a slant on it, so they're going to look at it through the eyes of, you know, women and African Americans and so forth and so on, you know. So I'll have more to say on it the next time or whenever.
A question about this: is this open to the public, or did they make an announcement? What?
Yeah, it wasn't announced a lot, but it's out there. Yeah, and I don't think it cost anything. I think it's part of your museum, you know, and you pay as you go to go to the Brooklyn Museum.
Okay. Thank you for your report. Anybody else for the other institution? Naomi, is Naomi still there? Yeah, mine.
And one question for Rich. Do you know how long this the ring hanging is gonna last?
I'm sorry, I don't have the actual end date, but I assume it's up for many months,
Okay,
maybe half a year, something like that.
thank you.
Thank you.
What else? Well, we already got any other institution we try to connect with. I did get a communication with Warren Burke regarding the Major Owens Cultural Center. And that will segue right into the next item, which is the designation of a recreation liaison. We never established one. What sports activity that's going on within the community board? Because Warren wanted to bring up to my ear is that the former said they're open. Can we get an update? What's going on? With that, I don't know if we have a quorum back, but I just wanted to introduce the idea. I would like to see one of our members who would like to be able to report to us what kind of sports activity that's going on in terms of running in the park, basketball tournaments, and so on and so forth that engage the community in some kind of physical activity. I just want to bring that for discussion, and I want to hear your thoughts about that.
Chairman, I just want to let you know that Amy did join the call about,
Oh, Amy,
I don't know,
you
half
join
hour
us.
ago.
Oh, welcome, Amy. We didn't
Yeah,
see
yeah.
you.
Go, but so maybe you do have quorum, but I just want to let you know that I've been on the call. It's just been on mute.
Why you've been on the phone? No, I think we needed. How many people needed to get a quorum? I think we needed what? I think we got quite a few people absent, 2 or 3 absent. So
I think you need
So,
6.
what you guys think? And what kind of activity that we can do to get a liaison? That's one area we don't have a liaison with. Parks and gardens, we have a liaison with Ms. Pagan. We have Brooklyn Museum with Richard Lubell, and some other thing. But what do you think of the idea of getting somebody trading into sports and recreation in the community board? Go ahead, Rich.
Am I unmuted again?
Yes, you are.
Oh, good. I love it. I love it. People are, people get a lot out of physical, recreational activities, sports, and I'm glad you're tapping into that. I think it's fantastic. I can't say for sure whether I know about what's going on, other than I know they have runs in the park, semi-regularly. I think there's a half marathon coming up if they didn't do it yet. Is that the idea that you're thinking of, Nick?
Correct, yes. To inform us what some of the activities. I've been, that's one area. I know Maynard is, you prepare for the marathon, right, Maynard?
Yes.
So she's a marathon runner.
Yeah.
That's one person. I also been in touch with I don't know if you guys know someone named Coach Screen. He's been doing basketball over 30 years within the community board. This is one of the person we probably will want to invite and bring back in. And also, I think we would, I don't know if the new council person has appointed all of the board members for this community board. And that's one thing I want to urge you to pick somebody that's in the sports. So if you know anybody that's in sports may be interested, and they probably may want to reach out to our office and let us know they'd be interested in joining the board and also joining our committee. I mean, I know there's a lot of seniors that also put walks together sometime early in the morning, group walks, because this is some kind of activity that can be done or in the afternoon to encourage much more movement and activity within the borough. Within the community, but So maybe we may probably want to get together with the Health and Social Service Committee to encourage, as COVID is somewhat easing up, to get some people out there and move, because the body is made to move. So, if anybody would like to nominate somebody, then somebody let us know, since we don't have a full complement of people today, and then we could probably revisit this in our business for next week. Any other ideas? I just want to say, please try to attend the next board meeting. I think we're working on for that final community board wide activity in May and June, toward May and June. So start thinking about what kind of contribution you would like to bring, what kind of organization you would like to invite to be part of that 2 days, 1 to 2 days community board fair. Okay?
What's the date?
Well, go ahead.
The dates?
Well, the date has not been firmed up yet. I was in one meeting. They said late May, early June. And I have a sense by next month, the date will be firmed up, because the executive board has endorsed the idea and they are working to put some of the particulars together.
Short notice.
Okay. Is Ms. Baptiste there? Has she called me? Oh, no, she said she was having trouble getting on. So I think what we'll try to do is probably try to get a lot more familiar with WebEx, so that way we'll get most people in. Because I myself, I spent, yeah.
Question, Nick, when you go to in-person community board, where do you normally have it?
Yes. Okay.
Committees usually meet in office, Mr. LaBelle, and general board meetings would occur in MS 61 if that location were available. That's where they typically occurred prior to the pandemic.
And where's your office?
890 Nostrand Avenue, between President and Carroll Street.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You got it.
Well, any other question? All right, so are there any new business?
Nicholas, what was the grant? The grant that you mentioned last month, I believe, or you said you had some information about a grant?
There was a grant from the borough president office, but the deadline was about a week after that.
What was it? What was the grant for?
I'm trying to remember. It was to if you are planning any specific events of cultural, any cultural event, to apply a grant to get money to do it. But they gave a short deadline.
Yeah, if it's
when they put it out, the deadline was 2 weeks after.
Well,
so I could always inquire to see if they're going to extend the deadline, or if the deadline has been extended, and report next month.
Okay. Because if
Okay.
it's something that they do annually, then it would be good for us to keep in mind. Those who will be here next year can
Mhm.
have it in mind and apply for it in time.
Yes, that's good. But I think the best thing we have in terms of applying for funds is the participatory budgeting that's being taken place now at each of the council or people office. So which means we have to reach out to council member Rita Joseph and council member Crystal Hudson
Some
and see.
here
So
last,
which means
I don't know what happened.
we
Nobody said
together have to decide what activity we're going to do and
there was
submit a budget of what we may need for this particular activity. So I think some of it, let me find out some of the information and we could have some conversation outside this meeting and see what we can do.
right. Wasn't there a representative from Rita Joseph's office here last month?
Yes, they attended the general meeting. That's the only meeting they attended.
It's
And
an
to introduce themselves.
invitation. It's a matter of sending an invitation to her, and then
Right. But
we'll
mhm. Go ahead. Mhm.
I see a triangle with Nicholas's name in there. So something's gone.
Yeah, because it look like I'm looking. I don't see my WebEx. So
Yeah,
We can hear you.
where I am.
hear you,
I'm
but we
trying
can't
to
see
find
you.
to find myself.
And it's like a warning triangle there.
It happened
Right.
with Eric right before he left.
Oh,
There
uh-oh.
was a triangle. So
Well, that means we don't know. I don't know what that means.
I can
Oh,
hear
and
you guys. I don't know if you can hear me.
yeah, we can
Can
hear
hear
you.
you.
We
he
can hear
can't
you.
hear
We just
us.
can't see you.
Oh,
You cannot see me, but you can hear me. I can hear
Right.
you.
yes,
Maybe you clicked your video monitor
right.
off.
Oh, no, there you guys are. There we go.
No, we
I'm
don't
back.
see you. We don't see you. I don't see you.
I didn't click stop video, so it should be.
It's
All right.
WebEx. You have to get used to.
We gotta learn this one.
Don't worry, we know your head.
There's a learning curve here.
Hear you.
I can see you guys,
Okay.
but I don't know if you can see me.
It's just
All
a
right.
learning curve. I feel very at sea with this program.
Mhm.
Wow.
Right. We'll see. Because the other platform I use is GoToMeeting, which is also very, very simple to use. That WebEx always been kind of trying.
Yeah.
Because I have friends who work in the corporate world, they said even though they connected to Cisco and WebEx, they prefer Zoom.
Well, Nicholas, for the
Yeah.
benefit of those who are still present, Rita Joseph is interested in Maple Street Community Garden. She loved it. She visited it several times this past season, which is why I encourage an invitation to be sent to her office for whenever any representatives of Maple Street Community Garden are present, and also so that she can, perhaps she would like to assist in some way, support the garden in some way. But you have to give her the opportunity, and she's being pulled at from every direction. So
So
I've actually.
go ahead, Miss Fancy.
Oh, it's funny talking to you because we only see your name, but Eric mentioned that we are writing a grant. I just finished a grant to the Citizens Committee of New York City.
Yeah.
Because we're doing a big project in the back of our garden, and you guys are all welcome to come and visit us. So, maybe we can do a field trip there someday. But the back of the garden is going to be built out this spring and summer. We're going to build a pergola with vining plants, so there'll be a shade area you can sit underneath it. And it's a very sunny area of the garden. There's going to be a children's garden, an herb garden, and a pollinator, native plant pollinator garden with plant, pathways and some seating areas. So our budget's going to be close to $9,000 to build, because the wood is so expensive to build all that out. And so, we've written a grant to CCNYC, and we're hoping to get that. But we're still going to be looking for additional funds, and I've talked to Rita Joseph about it. And she's been interested, but I don't quite know how funding comes from the council member's office, because it's sort of like, we're not a 501c3. And I think they made a rule a couple of years ago that, groups like ours that aren't 501c3 organizations can't get money directly from council members. Anyway, so I don't know if you guys would know more about this, but
I think Eric may have that, because from my understanding in his presentation, you look like you're just like another city, part of a city agency.
yeah.
It sounds like he said the parks department on it, which means the budget will go to the park department, even though he said donation can be received at the garden. So which means you receive the donation, but you have to turn all the stuff within the parks department for them to do all the fiscal, legal stuff that's involved.
Yeah.
But I think what we should do, we should reach out to both Crystal Hudson and Rita Joseph, and it says we need put in a request. If she has to put the money into the parks department, she could say this is the money that is allocated for this community garden in CB9. And I think we should just make that approach. Send her an email, send her letters, and whatever. Get her to come and visit and make the request and find which way to get that funding.
Yeah, because I think that would be great. And I know she wants to help, but I don't know that we have figured out quite the right way.
Right.
She'd like to help all three of the gardens, at the same time. There could be something that everybody needs. So.
Nancy, I have a question for you, Nancy. What happens, how do you distribute the food that's grown at Maple Street? I know sometimes it's offered for sale. Do you have a provision for distributing it, maybe to churches and that sort of thing as well, extra surplus, that kind of thing?
It's a great question. So we grow a lot of food, and we grow it communally, which is very different from at least the Lincoln Road Garden, where each person has their own plot.
Yeah.
We garden communally, which means that we have work days. Everybody comes and we do whatever needs to be done that week, or twice a week we'll come in and work. And our policy is that anybody can harvest food from the garden, even if they haven't helped grow it. So it's a pretty open, food system. The only thing we ask is usually we try to educate people about how to harvest so that the plants continue to produce. Like some plants, you take a tomato, that's it. But there's other plants where you can cut leaves and then they'll grow back if you do it in the right way. So we try to teach people that, and we ask them to just take enough for their supper. So that's one thing we do. And then there's oftentimes when there's a surplus, it'll go into the community fridge on Nostrand and Midwood. No, not
there's also another one on Rogers and Parkside too.
Yeah, and then one on Rogers and Midwood also is the closest one to us. But their fresh food box, which happens every Saturday morning, that food is mostly, we do sometimes just give away food with that. Like when we have the end of our tomato harvest and we have a lot of green tomatoes, we'll just give them away to anybody who comes into the garden, including anybody who's coming for a fresh food box. But the fresh food boxes are actually ordered food that's ordered from different farms, hopefully local farms and farms that are doing sustainable farming. And then we put them together into bags, and they're actually purchased or subsidized. So it's not our food that goes out in the fresh food boxes normally.
I see.
And our idea is really that we're not big enough to actually grow a lot of food for the neighborhood, but we're big enough to really show people how food is grown and have kind of an educational and environmental impact, because a lot of people will start growing food in their own backyards or front yards, or outside their windows once they kind of get a little bit more of an idea of how they can do it. So there's a way in which we're sort of teaching and learning about things ourselves and learning about the environment ourselves. So it's.
Thank you. I think that when I was by the last time, there's also an effort to sell the food too, no?
Not really.
Like a little store on the site there?
That's part of the fresh food box operation.
Oh.
So what happens with that, and Brenda can probably speak to this more. They have this kind of little store situation, and also sometimes, like, if there's so many peaches that didn't all get given out in the fresh food box, there's some local people that make them into jam, and then they'll sell them the next week. So you might have been seeing that, but it's not actually our food that's being sold, the food that we've grown.
Just one last question. So when you go to the fresh food box, do you need an appointment? Do you just show up, or?
Brenda, do you want to take that? Do you know?
You can just show up. We like to have people order in advance because you can't purchase an unlimited amount of fresh produce and just have it on hand. There's nowhere to store it if people don't come that day and actually pick up the fruit and produce that goes into the bags. So we ask people to order in advance, but we generally have extra bags available most Saturdays, so that if you did not order in advance, you could stop by early enough and say, do you have an extra bag? Can I get one? And you could get a completely full bag, and sometimes you might not get a completely full bag, but so that's the way it works. And the food that's on the table there, I like to refer to it as Bayla's table, but it's a lot of good stuff. A lot of local makers are highlighted on that table. A young man from Bushwick who makes nut butters. There's we've had 2 different people who bake bread, so different kinds of breads being sold. Another one bakes donuts, etc. So all those different types of things are on that table for sale. And again, most of it is not grown in the garden.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
My wife works through the Fenimore United Church, Methodist Church.
Mm-hmm.
They do a food distribution on Tuesdays.
That's a pantry.
The pantry, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does do you source your food sometimes from similar places as they do? They buy a lot of their food from.
It's local. This is from local farms in general.
Yeah.
The food that goes into a fresh food box is usually from local farmers.
Yeah, I see. Anyway, okay, yeah, I'm sure you're sensitive or aware of that, all those other food pantries in the area, right?
Yes. And one thing, Richard, that's really cool about the fresh food box is that a number of the bags are subsidized. So the Domestic Workers Union subsidized bags our first year. We're going into our 3rd summer of doing this. It's from June to November. So they subsidized bags for their workers. These are the people that go into homes and don't often get a lot of the other.
Who is this group?
Domestic Workers Union.
Oh, okay.
So this would be maids and nannies and
nannies in the CNA. Yep.
Yeah.
Very
And
good.
so they subsidized a bunch of bags for their workers. So and then people in the community decided, why don't we just chip in? So there's been a fundraising effort. So a lot of the bags that are given out on Saturdays, like
free to who's receiving the bag, but someone
free.
has paid for it.
Right,
Someone has
right.
sponsored. Any one of us could sponsor a bag for,
Yeah.
for other people to receive a free bag of produce.
And some of the bags are, sometimes it's up to almost 200 bags that they distribute on a Saturday morning. So
Do you ever ask for ID, or you don't get into that? In other words, anyone can come and get it, really. Doesn't have to be a domestic worker or anything like that, right?
Those particular bags are sponsored for the DWU. So their people come and pick up their bags. But then I could sponsor a bag and say, you know, I'd like to sponsor 5 bags. And that way 5 people who I don't know necessarily can get a free bag of produce.
How much does a bag cost?
Last year, I think they were $15.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, this is great information. And I would like to say the board has the Friday night because of the closing of the supermarket. They have that green market that comes in on Friday. This is something that could complement that. And I think I'm going to bring that same information to Warren Burke, who primarily working to that green market thing. I have another question for Nancy. How much involvement do you get the local school? Maybe student in junior high school, or even the kids that are at the end of the elementary school to be involved in garden activities.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to do that yet. I don't know if you know the history of the garden, but we only became a legitimate, like, legal garden in January of 2019, and then the following year the pandemic hit. So we spent, when we mentioned that we had 20 raised beds that we built, those have all been built in the last basically 2 years.
Okay.
So we're just, and when we finish building out the back of the garden, I think we're going to be much better equipped to actually, you know, but we're still, you know, but this summer we should be able to do some things. You know, the growing season, one problem with the kids is that the growing season doesn't really align with the school year.
The school year, right.
But it could align, and we've had Trailblazers will bring kids in sometimes, but we really haven't figured that out enough yet. You know, we haven't figured enough out how we would, whether we would give like a school a bed and they would just use it themselves and figure out what they want to do with maybe their teachers, or whether we would just have them.
Say
what?
I can't hear anything.
Oh.
No, what I was saying, I had the privilege at one time working in the summer in a school where they use the backyard of the school to plant all kind of stuff.
Great, yeah.
And by the time I got there for the summer, the teachers been working with their classes. Actually, it was a special ed school. This is kid with a lot of kids with special needs. That give them a lot of stuff to do, give them a lot of what they're doing. But I think the idea is to hook up with 1 or 2 teachers and see if they are interested in, and to see. And then if you start early enough, I know with that group, by the time I got there this summer, they've been planting since the spring. And then by the time we got to the summer session, they all were able to do some of the harvest during the summer.
Yeah. I love that.
I want to compare with the chairman that, like, gardens are a 12-month operation. You know, there's always something to do in every season. And I think a lot of schools, especially people who are applying maybe to post-secondary schools and other, you know, if they want to get a mentorship, an internship in some of the gardens, maybe upstate or something like that, if they want to go into that field. I mean, it's nice to do a semester project where they perhaps, like, I just take grapes, for instance. It's not that you get to start wine, but either fruit trees or something like that. They have a growing season. They have a pruning season. They have a harvest season. They have a over winter season, and each you have to take care of them. So it could be a all year or at least a semester project for a lot of students.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. And in fact, right now we're getting ready to do seed starting, which people are going to be doing in their own houses. And then in early May, people will bring them to the garden and we'll start planting them. So you're right. Yeah.
This is something they could start right in their classroom.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been a very enlightening and beautiful time as the time is passing by. And what I like to suggest is by the time we meet next time, if we can think of specific activities, we could put them in writing and see we could start working on them. Because I think for the kind of thing going to happen in the board, just one meeting a month is not enough. So I encourage that we can cross talking to each other in between the meetings and come up with ideas and way to get things done. So if there are any more new business, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, it's always another. Thank you, everyone, for attending. And we're planning next month to be mostly dealing with art. Okay.
Nice to meet
Art and music, hopefully. I'm looking for a music liaison also. Recreation and music liaison. So I want to know what kind of music is happening in the community board and encourage it. So, thank you, Khalid.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Good
Have
night.
a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you then. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Night, Khalid.
Mhm.
I don't even know what.